Okay, everyone, welcome back to the Black Carnivore live stream. It's good to see you all. Hey, Stephanie. Hey, Danielle. Hey, Anna. How are you? Good to see you all. So come on in. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm doing something a little different with my sound. And Arien was supposed to be with us tonight. I don't know what happened to him. So we're going to do this on our own, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So come on in and, get your questions ready, and let's have a chance to talk. So let's see. So put a thumbs up or something in the chat so I can make sure that you all can hear me. Okay, Anna, you can hear me. Great. So I wanted to, talk a little bit about both about the interview that I did yesterday with Leonard, but also the interview I did with the fasting doctor, because I've really started looking at fasting again, and trying to figure out how to incorporate it more in a way that really works for me, and that can work for other people as well. So I really enjoyed having the opportunity to talk to her and get a real clear understanding about fasting. So I hope that you all had enjoyed that video as well. And I know it was a couple weeks back, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it, and I would love to talk with you all about it. So let's do that. Okay, hey Jimmy, good to see you. Hey Heather, welcome. Angela G, good to see you. Wow, so many people here. Welcome. So glad that you are all here. Okay, so let's dive right in. I have a couple of clips that I wanted to cover. So let's see. I'm going to start with this one. This might be kind of a stupid question, but what is fasting? Because when you were talking about the pregnant women, like going from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. is not a fast. Like that's just good health practices. So when do you go from eating to fasting? And I hear the word fast a lot, associated with juicing, with protein sparing modified fast, fat fast, and egg fast, beef fast. So what is a fast?
So I think you're right. I think people today have put everything and then they just label it and then put fast after it. If we just go with the pure definition, right, it's going to be the absence of food. Now we have modified that to still say you can drink, like water during it would be preferable. There are some protocols that will let you have, black coffee. But I mean, really, you shouldn't, if you're doing a pure fast, right, you're not having caloric intake. Now,
okay, so that didn't work. So I thought that was actually a really important question, because I feel like that word fast is like everywhere, and it's attached to all kinds of things, and I don't think that everyone always understands what what a fast is. So it was really helpful for me to hear her say that. What do you all think about what is a fast to you? Because for some people, like, they're really strict and it's just got to be water only. But for other people, like, that's that's not as important. So let me hear what you think about that. And then tell me what your favorite kind of fast is. Hey, large picture, it's good to see you. Welcome. And what are your goals with fasting? I think that for some of us, sometimes that we can jump into things a little too quick and too hard, and not really be realistic about what the goals can be. And so I think that fasting is one of those things where it might be better to go slow and and work your way up and build your way up. Jimmy CC says, I'm carnivore since January 2020. I lost 187 pounds, was type 2 diabetic, now off all meds, insulin, OMAD, alternate day fasting. My stall is gone, and sugar and weight loss is better than ever. I love it now. It's my lifestyle now. Wow, that is awesome. Congratulations, Jimmy. That's really amazing. And, what do you think? What do you think that caused that stall? I'm actually curious about that. And what did you do to break the stall? I mean, did you go to alternate day fasting? Was that it? Or, did you do some other fasting protocol? Kim says, water only, no caloric intake makes sense to me. And, Anna says a fast for me is water or black tea and coffee only. Yeah, excellent. Do any of you actually add any fat to your fast? Like if you were to add butter or MCT oil or something like that to your fast, I'm curious about that as well. Large Picture says, good to see you too. Fast equals abstinence from all food. And Heather G says, I haven't tried any type of fasting other than IF. Not sure I'm ready for fasting for several days. Well, yeah, Heather, no need to go to several days. I'm really just talking about, even like one meal a day or a 36-hour fast. I'm curious about that. I actually, like I've told you guys, I had joined the Dr. Fung's program, for fasting. And it has actually been really helpful to learn a lot more about fasting than what I thought I knew. Like many of you, I thought of fasting as just like water only and that's it. And like if it's hard for you, just give up or struggle through. But in having more conversation with people, I see that there are a lot of training wheels to get to the point where you really feel comfortable doing some of these longer fasts. And, and it's a challenge for everybody. I mean, it's not a huge challenge and you can reduce the amount of challenge that you're facing, but, there are some challenges. But there are also benefits to doing a fast in a more modified way, which I hadn't really thought about before. So, I'm having trouble getting my ketones really high, which I think would be helpful for me in terms of doing the fast, in terms of just keeping, my mind very focused and keeping a little bit more, energetic. So adding a little butter has actually been helpful to boost the ketones. And, so that wasn't something that I had thought about before, but going through this program now, I have people who are like, oh yeah, here's what you do. So I'm not trying to sell you his program, but, it really has been helpful. And honestly, I mean, I love Reddit and I think that's a great source of, information for a lot of things, but, it's not necessarily the fullest and best information. So I gotta say, it's been helpful to go to, that kind of community. Okay, let's see. Heather says, I haven't tried any type of fasting other, oh wait, I saw that. Hey, Mommy Does Keto, welcome. It's good to see you. Awesome. Okay, let me go to the next clip. Is intermittent fasting or is any form of fasting equal to following a ketogenic diet, or do you get, do you like double your benefit by combining them?
They work synergistically, so you get more benefit by combining them. So, and that's not saying that if you don't, modify your diet to decrease your carbohydrate or decrease your sugar intake, it's not that you won't see benefit from intermittent fasting, but I kind of liken it to you're kind of just treading water, right? So you're certainly not necessarily maybe getting worse, but you're not really tapping in. It's kind of like you're doing damage control, if that makes sense.
So this one I thought was super, super helpful. So, I mean, I often have this question because it's like, when ketogenic diets first came out, or when people first started talking about them, I mean, it was a ketogenic state was sort of mimicking a fasting state, and that was, some of what people believed were the benefits of being in ketosis. And but to listen to her, I'm starting to understand that, like, there are benefits to being on a ketogenic diet, and there are benefits to fasting, and together they amplify their benefits. They're not equal, and that was actually really helpful and powerful to hear. So, for people who have something especially challenging going on, or, have a lot of healing to do, it really might be a benefit to adding in some fasting. And, and from what she had talked about in the interview, it was also super helpful to hear that, it's helpful and beneficial to start with just doing a 14-hour fast, which is, essentially don't eat from dinner to breakfast. And that is actually a challenge for many of us in these days. But I don't know about you all, but when I was growing up, like, that was life. After dinner was over, the kitchen was closed until breakfast. And that was normal. So, getting back to that normal state is, that's a first step. That's actually a huge, huge step, and very important. Okay, Mommy Does Keto says, I really struggle with fasting. 8 a.m. comes around and I need my coffee with collagen and cream. I end up with headaches if I go anywhere past 14 hours. But, like I said, 14 hours is good. Mommy Does Keto. Like, it doesn't necessarily need to be more than that, depending on your state and so on. But, I felt like, if you watch that interview that I did with her, I kind of went over a number of things that I struggle with, and that, are commonly things that people struggle with. And, it was really helpful for me to see that this is sort of common. There are things that people commonly struggle with on, when they're adding in fasting, and that there are actually solutions that are, pretty simple. So I'm going to try to find out something about the headaches over 14 hours, but that might have, it sounds like that has to do with the electrolytes. And it's surprising for me when I fast, like, how much more salt I need. It's not a little, it's a lot. So I don't know. It could just be that. Stephanie says, I used to IF, but I don't think I could have done it as a carb eater. Yeah, that is super, super hard, I think. It's so much easier to do on a low carb diet. So I'm always, there are definitely people that decide that they want to do a fasting lifestyle, and they are just not going to do it on low carb. And so, they have these feasts of pizza and whatnot, and it's sort of amazing, that people can do that. But, I definitely struggle with that. Jimmy ZC says, I was simply eating too much. Some carnivore just can't eat so much, like they say, laughing out loud. I stall 4 months. I started alternate day fasting with water, and weight loss was 3 to 5 pounds a week. I eat 1 pound of beef with eggs Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Yeah, I think that is, that makes a lot of sense, Jimmy. And, I think that for many of us, as Americans, I know when I have traveled abroad to Europe, people are always astounded at how much Americans eat. And I think that, we get the idea. Certainly when you go on carnivore, you can eat as much as you need to be satisfied. But that is a very different thing than eating as much as you want. And those things can be very, very far apart. Or they can be, very close together. And I think for many of us, those things are very far apart. And so people are going to eat as much as they want to, and not necessarily, just as much as they need to. And it's surprising to me how little food, we actually need. And I mean, if you look at our bodies, we're sort of designed, with this ginormous battery pack on our bodies so that we can go long, long periods without food if need be. So it's surprising how much we eat, frankly, considering how long we can go without it. And so I think that finding that sweet spot where you're not eating too much, or you're either eating a small amount enough to to get your ideal nutrition without stalling weight loss. That's the trick of it, and what that number is for everyone is different. So, and that amount may change too. I mean, you might achieve, get to your goal, do some more weight training and other stuff like that, and you might find that the amount that you need again changes, and it raises. So, so there is that. Mommy Does Keto says, I will rewatch the interview. Great. I think that's a great idea. She really gave a lot of good basic information, so that was helpful. Says, yes, electrolytes are needed during fasting too. It also depends on what you're doing and where you live. Example, hot and dry. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Mommy Does Keto asks, do you take electrolytes in pill form when fasting? No, I have a powder that I add to my sparkling water, and I think it tastes really good. I don't, I guess you could do it in a pill form. I don't know. I guess I don't like taking pills, or, I've taken enough supplements and pills in my lifetime. So as few of them as I need to take, the better for sure. Okay. So Jimmy ZC says, just salt my food, really, really good, because I'm not eating carbs, I'm holding water. Yeah. Let's see. And Kim says, I am in week 3 of carnivore, and I find it really hard to eat sometimes. I'm just not hungry, so I'm naturally fasting because my appetite is very low. Yeah, absolutely. So Kim, just make sure if you get to the point where you're feeling tired or weak or cranky, you might actually need to eat more. And so sometimes in the beginning of carnivore, people completely lose their appetite because they're eating too little fat. And, and so you get to a point where you've eaten enough protein and your body is going to turn off your appetite for protein, but not for fat. And so, just check for that. So if you're starting to feel like you're going to crack, or, you want to, you've got cravings, go and eat some butter and then see how you feel. Yeah, Jimmy, you're not holding water. So, so that's why it's especially important to stay on top of your, your electrolyte intake for sure. Okay, let's see. And then,
people try to talk about it and sugarcoat it different ways, but we have the data, right? When Black people go to the hospital, and it's not every hospital, but if we're comparing national averages, right, our care, our outcomes tend to not be that of our counterparts of other racial ethnic groups, right? With higher rates of maternal mortality, with higher rates of stillbirth, with COVID and the pandemic, our death rate is higher. So, I mean, they're just different things that if we can decrease our reliance on the healthcare system, you know what I mean? And try to reverse and prevent some of the diseases that cause us to present, right? So insulin resistance is going to be linked to heart attack, right? Stroke, that we have poorer outcomes in those aspects. With cancer, often our cancer is diagnosed at later stages compared to other counterparts. Many cancers have insulin resistance as a component of that. So in general, if we can reduce our insulin levels.
Okay. So, I thought that was a particularly, poignant piece of the conversation. is, I mean, she was really just telling us to stay out of the healthcare system altogether. And, and I really took that message to heart from the interview. I mean, obviously this is true for everybody. Everybody wants to and should stay out of the healthcare system, but particularly for Black people, for, people, other ethnic, racial, or indigenous groups, and also, low income or underinsured people, you're likely not going to get great care. And so the best thing to do is, do your best to stay as healthy as possible and stay out of the system. And it seems like, from what she is describing, fasting is a piece of that. It's not the whole thing. Also what you eat, and then other aspects of your life, getting enough sleep, like dealing with stress, living, a healthy, an overall healthy lifestyle. All of those things contribute. And, and that may be the best that you can do in order to preserve your health. So, let me know what you all think about that, and, which ones of those things do you do? Right now, I'm, working on fasting and sleeping, because I have been doing a terrible job with sleeping, and getting to bed earlier. So the past 2 weeks, I have, made every effort to get into bed at 10 o'clock. That has not happened at any point, but I'm definitely doing better than when I was like getting into bed at 2 a.m. So, so I'm definitely feeling better about that. Okay, so Kim says, I eat solid beef suet from the fridge to make sure I get my fat. So that's great. That's a great way to go about doing it. If you like suet, that is awesome. I find that suet, I don't like the texture of it, so I have a hard time with it. But other people love it, love it, love it. So you're good there. And Jimmy says, she's right. I can't believe how my insulin now ranges from 78 to 90. Even on my eating days. I'm very pleased about that. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really, really impressed, and I definitely would love to hear more about it. And Jimmy, I leave you an open invitation. I'd love to come, hear you come on the podcast and let me hear more about, your progress and what's been happening. Let's see. Anna says, my GP says she hardly ever refers diabetic patients to the diabetes clinic because they don't support this way of eating. She tried to get them very low carb and IF instead. Oh man, Anna, that really, really sucks that, there are these kinds of obstacles, even when people want to change, they want the information, and to have this kind of obstacle, like, it just sucks. And, it's one thing, like, if you've got somebody who just, they love their candy, they love their cakes, their donuts, whatever, and they don't want to give it up. And then it's like, okay, I guess that's just how it's going to be. But, but for the people who want to make a change and have this obstacle, it's just really amazing. And I don't know if you guys had seen a couple weeks ago, someone had posted about, who worked at a diabetes clinic, had posted a picture. The nurses had given, it was somebody whose father was at a dialysis clinic, and he had diabetes, which is why his kidneys were failing, and they had given him, it was his birthday, and so the nurses had, gathered candy together in like a little bowl to give him as a gift for his birthday. But it was like, oh my God, are you kidding? Like, where you are. Why are you giving this person candy? Even if it's their birthday, like, that's like crazy. But anyway, that's just the system that we live in. Okay, Heather says I'm never in bed by 10 p.m. Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard, but I should be. I'm also trying to get up at 5 a.m. So the last couple of mornings I've been waking up at like 6:30. So, it's happening. moving up in time. So yeah, that's the goal. So I can be ever more productive, and try to get more content together, and connect with more people, and so on, because I really want to see more people adopt this lifestyle, and I think carnivore is amazing, and an amazing choice for a lot of people. But even if you don't want to do that, like, just getting people on low carb and keto, I think is a huge win. So I want to do the best to get all of that that content out there, and so on. And actually, that being said, I should have jumped in right away and said this. So I am going to open a challenge on November 1st. So it's going to be a 21-day carnivore challenge, and I really, again, want to try to give the support to people who or can't, are not ready to commit to long term or whatever, but just need a little bit of help to get started, some accountability, some support, some consistency in the first few weeks of carnivore, to really start seeing some progress going forward. So I'm going to do this challenge. Look out. I don't have the page set up, but look out for that. I will put it out. Of course, it will be on my Instagram, on my in my stories. It'll be. I'm sure I'll put a video on YouTube. But I would love for as many of you would like to come and join, because I know that people really do need that kind of stability. And again, we're going into the holiday season. So I know now we have this weird holiday or a weird holiday season, because of course we, still have, quarantine and so on. So I don't know if you will be doing as much socializing as usual, but there's still probably going to be a lot of candy around, and this is the time that people need support. So I wanted to do a 3-week challenge at the beginning of November, get you started off right, so that you're going into Thanksgiving, like, really like on point with your program. And and then we'll go from there. So look out for that. Okay. And Anna says, what does the challenge consist of? So it's a Facebook group, and I give you a meal plan, food guideline, some workouts, and then, you have the accountability. You need to take, like, pictures that you post in the group, and to show your progress from week to week. And then I'll do a live Q&A in the Facebook group, so to answer questions and give support and that kind of thing once a week. So so I think that can be really helpful, and I've definitely I've done those kinds of challenges myself before, and they've been really helpful. And it just is about, like, making a commitment to do one thing, and to to keep doing it for 21 days straight. And I think that can really be helpful, especially if you've fallen off track. One of those things, once you start, tasting the sugar and the sweets and blah, 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 it can be really hard to, like, get off of that track. And so having, a commitment, or whether you want to call it a challenge, a cleanse, a commitment, whatever, is that's super helpful to, like, get you back on track. So that's going to be it. Okay, Anna, awesome. So glad that you are in. Okay. All right, so there's a couple of clips from Leonard that I wanted to go over as well. And now Leonard, I thought, was just fascinating and amazing. And this is an example of, like, for some of us, carnivore, like, there's all kinds of challenges and problems and adjustments that need to be made in the beginning, and there's, like, plateaus and like, just various problems. And then you've got this guy Leonard, who just jumps right in, just, like, no problems, loses 50 pounds, like, instantly, reverses his diabetes, and is doing great with no problems. So, as jealous as I might be, I am so, so happy and excited for him. And, really, I'm really happy for him and want to spread that story out there because it's just amazing. And I love how excited he became about the science and learning more and digging in. And I think it's really, really great to have everybody in our community really kind of dive in and understand how our bodies work and to push back against the information that we're given that is not good, and it does not help us as as people. It does not help our health. Kim says, "Yeah, Leonard was a delight. He is a real start." Yeah, Stephanie says he set his mind to it and just did it. No excuses. Yeah, yeah. And also what was really awesome about him is that, he is like, working multiple jobs, he talked about, and having these long, time periods away from home. So figuring out how to stay on carnivore away from home, I thought was, really masterful, that the way he sort of handled that. And, and also making the decision that, like, you just may not be able to do it perfect, and that's fine. Imperfect is still better than doing what we were doing before. So, yeah. All right, so let's dive right in. And let me know if you have any questions. Put some questions in the chat so we can talk about it. Okay.
To me, it was the way I was feeling that was better. But the inches were going off before the pounds were, man. I went down from, I was wearing a 42 waist, and I'm down, I weigh a 34 now. And that's probably where I was at in high school, like a 32, 34. So.
You go. He is just doing fantastic. And I love how he was saying, he lost all of this weight really quick, but even still, he lost inches before he lost pounds. And I think that is such an important message because so many of us struggle. Like, I can't tell you how many people are like, I've lost inches, my clothes are loose, but, I haven't lost anything on the scale. And that's what I really want to see, is loss on the scale. And it's just like, why? If your clothes are changing, that's really what matters. So I thought it was really awesome to hear from him that, even when things are going perfectly and the diet is just working like that still you might, you're likely going to lose inches first and later you'll lose pounds. And I think what too was interesting about him is, I don't know if you remember from the beginning of the interview, I asked him if he had ever done any kind of dieting or anything before. And it was clear that he has never dieted, never thought about calories, never thought much about what he was eating other than like picking up, things that claimed to be healthy at the grocery store. And, and that tells you too how important your metabolism is. Because remember, for especially for those who've been dieting since, middle school or high school, like each and every time you diet, that like sends a message to your body that there's some scarcity. And so, there's damage to your metabolism over and over again. And the more times you diet, just the more the more damage accumulates. And I think, for someone like him who's never dieted before, like he just doesn't have that. And so, his metabolism is not, slowed to a near, almost to a standstill. So, he is not having the same challenges that some of us may have. That doesn't mean that, it's all over for us, but it does mean that, some of us have to employ, other more powerful tools. And I think this is again where, the discussion of fasting comes in. It's a tool that can help, help with the challenge of losing weight and getting healthier. And some people need that more powerful tool, whereas other people don't necessarily. Yeah. So, Let's see. Mommy does keto says, yeah, he was great. Anna, you loved listening to him. No excuses. Exactly. Hey, Chris, it's great to see you. Sonia, I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. Heather says, I've lost more inches than pounds. I've had to learn that this was still success. Yes. I mean, not still success. This was amazing success because honestly, and this is the most disheartening and saddest thing of all, is I've seen people who've lost 50 pounds and look exactly the same. And I remember when I was at Weight Watchers, I had somebody, come up to me and say, I don't understand what's going on. I've lost 50 pounds. And I look more or less the same. I really, my body hasn't changed. And I asked her what she was doing, and she was, had a full-time job. She had kids and was like super busy, and went to the gym twice a day to do cardio for an hour and a half each time. And I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? And, and when I looked through what she was eating, I mean, it was all garbage essentially, and I was just like, man, I want so much, to enlighten her about keto, but, I couldn't really do that. But I did push her to, to eat more protein, to try to eat meat if she was willing to, but at least, take some protein shakes, and to start lifting weights instead of doing all the cardio. And, in very short order, she started to see a real difference in her body. And that, was what spurred her to go on and start adding some meat back into her diet. So I think she's just stuck with fish and chicken, but that's something, right? And, but that really opened my eyes that, it is possible to lose a bunch of weight on the scale and not see the changes you want in your body. And that is far worse because, unless you're walking around with the scale in your hand, so going to everybody, look, who cares? Like, who cares? If you lose 50 pounds and look the same, who cares? That's not what I want. Okay, Angela says, his interview was great. My hubby especially liked the fact that he instantly jumped all the way in after listening to Dr. Berry. Yeah, absolutely. I hope that there were, I know our channel is, it's more it's more women than men, which I totally get, that's just sort of how it is. And, and I figure there's, not that many guys that like want to watch, channels about like diet and health. But I'm hoping that, many of you have gotten your husbands, brothers, fathers, uncles, whatever, to listen to that interview and to be inspired and to consider, trying this. So even if they're not like directly part of the community, that this information is getting out there. And I do encourage all of you to, share the information, put it out there, let people know this is, that this is a possible experience. And that this is not, some weird fringe diet that is only for, the select few that can afford grass-fed beef and, and can afford like really expensive stuff. But that, this is a diet for everyone, that, even people who are on the road and ordering patties from McDonald's, everyone can do this diet and everyone can benefit from it, no matter what your, what your health state is. You can see improvement and you can see benefit. So, so tell everybody. Let's see. Regina says, yes, Leonard was right. It was a delight to hear. He made me excited. I think my slow weight is due to the flavored coffee creamer. I see the inches. I don't weigh myself. I'm trying to get on the BBBE challenge. I'm not sure what that is, but okay. But come join my challenge as well. Let's see. Sonia says, I just want to feel better. No more aches and pains. Yeah. And Mommy Does Keto says, how does she have 3 hours to spare for cardio? Exactly my question. I mean, my mouth dropped open. I was like, I don't even have kids. And there's no way I can find another 3 hours to go to the gym twice. And the gym was not at her house. I mean, she went somewhere to go to the gym. And, I don't know. I don't know. So, and that was what was so sad to me too, is that, she had full commitment. She wanted to achieve her goal. She made the time, she found the babysitters. She, got her husband or whoever to take over responsibilities at home. Like, she did all the stuff. She just had bad information. And so all of that work just netted her nothing. And that's what really, really sucked. I mean, that was what was so, so painful to hear. Foodie Fatty's Adventure. I like the name. Hey, love the interview. I'm so glad to hear that. That really, really excites me. Kimberly says, I reversed my type 2 diabetes, lost over 100 pounds, and I don't recognize myself when I look at pictures now. I still have at least 40 pounds more to lose. Congratulations, Kimberly. That's awesome and so impressive. And Kimberly says, I do a lot of dry fasting with my carnivore diet. Awesome. Chris says, what man doesn't want to learn that you can eat meat to get healthy? I know, I agree. But, there's a lot of people that are very invested in what they, what we've been taught as, as food, around food, and just not willing to question, what we thought we knew. So, that's kind of the problem there. And, but yeah, why wouldn't you want to eat meat? I know I've been at the grocery store and had all this meat on the conveyor belt, and people be like, hey, you having a party? What's going on at your house? Can I come by? What are you doing? So yeah, there you go. Jimmy says, I love your channel. Thank you, Jimmy. I really, really appreciate that. I really wanted this channel to be, just be the place that I wanted and needed when I first got started. And I, like I said, I always say, I don't see our voices, our stories out there. And I wanted to highlight them because, I think that the reason why people so enjoyed Leonard's story is that, he's just kind of like a regular guy, and it's helpful to see a regular person doing this diet and to be able to envision how you might fit it into your life. I'm not going to lie, this diet's a little weird, it's a little different. It's very different than what we have grown up to know. So you really do need to have, guides or, other people, role models, inspiration to help you to go forward. And you want, and you need to have, guides who are like you, in terms of, background, experience, jobs, whatever, to help you to sort of see how this diet can fit in your life. And so I wanted to make sure that, another set of voices is represented. And I'm excited at how many people are jumping in. I mean, there's so many people now who are, willing to give this a try, even if, they're doing, quarterly doing a 30-day carnivore challenge or something like that. So that's really, really cool. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Chris says, there are some who, yeah. And, Nisha loves it. Welcome. I so appreciate your being here. And what's especially funny, so this is Nisha, who is Dr. Ken Berry's wife. And you should know that, Leonard was directly inspired by Dr. Ken Berry. So thank you. Thank you for all that you guys do. You have these amazing videos and live streams and really help people out a lot. So thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Stephanie Armour says beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. Oh, right. Of course. Yeah, I had so many other thoughts about what BBBE stood for. So yeah, there we go. Regina knows. Thank you for getting my mind out of the gutter. Okay, so Kimberly, for workouts, you dance around the house and lift your dumbbells. Excellent. There is nothing better than doing a workout that you enjoy. So excellent. Michelle is on day 21 of the triple BE. So that's awesome. Let me know how you're doing with it. Do you have you seen like benefit? What kind of things have you seen? That's awesome. Mommy does keto, a party in my tummy. Yes, delicious food. Christopher says, Ada, you are a true blessing to all. Continue doing what you are doing to inform the world on optimal health. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And, it really means a lot to me how much, support that you guys give me. And Mommy Does Keto, thank you so much for the super sticker. That everybody here knows that I do this and try to get the information out and as broadly as possible, but your support really helps me to continue to do that. So thank you. And I really appreciate it. Kimberly says, I love the truck driver interview. It showed what you can eat on the road. Scared to eat at fast food places, but if you think of going to a barbecue grill, that feels like there are options. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I don't know how many people, what cities and where this is available, but honestly, I love to see people like out just grilling or with a smoker, just grilling food. And, where I am in New York, in Brooklyn, I'm not too far from a very Caribbean neighborhood. And so in the summer, like I would see just, along one city block, you might have 3 people out, 3 smokers on the sidewalk where people are smoking meat all, day and night long and just selling it, which is totally illegal. But people do this all the time. And it's some of the best meat I've ever had. So, I'd love to take that opportunity when I can. Of course, sometimes you run the risk of getting sick, but, there you go. But I definitely think it's worth it. Okay, so let's watch a few more videos. Oh, Sharika, thank you so much for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it. Like I said, it really means a lot. Okay. Nisha, thank you. You love my channel and you love this way of eating. Awesome. Yes. I, totally agree. And Regina says my friend had lost 3 toes to diabetes. I tell her send her your videos, Dr. Berry videos. She listens but continues to eat pancakes and cupcakes, etc. Well, that is the thing. It is, I definitely think of sugar and this stuff is like drugs. And, just because, someone realizes I'm addicted to crack and this is not working for me and my life is horrible does not mean that they get off crack, or at least not right away. It takes time and it takes effort and it takes support. So, hopefully, your friend will be able to get the support that she needs. But let's listen to another clip. Let's see.
Been sober for almost 14 years now, and some of the same principles and things that we do that I use daily in my recovery actually helped me with this transition. You know what I mean? Because I now look at sugar and carbs the same way I look at alcohol and anything else. It's poison. I don't do well with it.
Oh. I thought that was really helpful, the way he talked about that, and talked about using the same things that he learned from, his time in 12-step program, and applying that to, to carbs. I think it was really helpful for me to hear people say, yes, carbs are addictive, like physically addictive, like drugs. And even though, we're told that they're not, and all you need to do is moderate, the reality is that there are people who are like literally addicted to sugar. And there's, and their brains are operating as if they are consuming a drug, and they cannot moderate it in the same way that, other people on drugs cannot moderate their use of it. And it was really helpful for me to hear that. And I instinctively knew it because of my own experience with the drug and also seeing other people around me. I mean, I have definitely seen my mom on a bad day eat a pint of ice cream and pass out in bed. And like, even as a kid, I used to say that she was like an alcoholic with food. Like, as an 11-year-old, I didn't have the vocabulary to understand what I was seeing or to talk about it. But I knew that, like, she dove into like a pint of ice cream the way an alcoholic might, do with a bottle of whiskey, and had the same, result, like passing out. So I love that he made that connection and is trying to use the same tools. And, and everybody, and I love too that Carnivore really seems to have a particular way of helping people with addiction. There's quite a few people in our community that have gotten off of alcohol, and Carnivore has really helped cut those cravings to a minimum. I mean, it's not to say that it's all, a bed of roses and super easy, but it seems to have really helped with the cravings enough that people are able to just kind of get off and break those ties and are really able to move forward with their lives. So, if somebody who is struggling with any kind of addiction, being abstinent, of course, and also getting on a carnivore diet can be super, super helpful. And for some people, they need to do that in the context of, AA or some other kind of 12-step program. Other people, do it on their own, or, with some other kind of support. But, this can be a powerful tool to help with that. Okay, let's see. Heather, thank you so much. Wow, so many super stickers. I really appreciate it, guys. It just means so much to me. Okay, Sharika says, hi, A-Day. Hi, everyone. I loved Leonard's interview. I shared it with my fam who has type 2 diabetes. I'm hoping this will give her some inspiration. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. Absolutely. Absolutely. Heather says, I really appreciate your being here every week. It keeps me on track. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I really hope for. And that's why I wanted to do this challenge for, 21 days. It's just really, just knowing that you have to show up and be accountable and just, tell the world or tell, whatever group you've committed to where you are in your progress. Like, that really helps on a day-to-day basis to help you stay on track. And, building a new habit, it takes time. Like, I don't know why it's, it's sort of out there that it takes 2 weeks or 3 weeks or so many days. I don't know how many days that it takes to build a new habit, but it takes a while. And, you got to get a good stretch of time before, you're really strong enough to deal with, with challenges, with cravings, with temptations. And so I would love for, all of you to go into the holiday season with 3 good solid weeks where you have been solidly carnivore, so that, when you get to Thanksgiving and there's, the pie or the this or the mac and cheese or whatever it is, that, you're able to go, you know what, like, I had this before. It's not good enough for me to feel the way that I feel when I eat carbs. So, so again, that's why I say, make sure to join this challenge. Okay. Anna says, how found so many good people with this way of eating. Dr. Ken, Nisha, Dr. Fung, Mommy Does Keto, Kim Howerton, Lily Kane, Steak and Butter Gal, and of course you, A-Day. Thank you. Yeah, there are some really amazing people out there who are, spreading the word and really, doing the work. And I love to see that. I love to see them. And, yeah, thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mommy Does Keto. Anna is the sweetest. Of course. Absolutely. See, Kimberly says, love the way he used the practices from recovery to apply to food addictions. Awesome. Sugar nearly killed me, but it was so good. It was so good. Only my Lord Jesus could turn me around. However, I had to want. I could not agree with you more. I felt that sugar was so good. Like, there was just no way I was going to be able to walk away from it. And, you know, and it's funny, like, I think I've finally gotten to the point where it's not appealing to me. Like, it's not a challenge to not have it. It is just sort of like a minor annoyance, like a gnat that's maybe flying around the room. It's not a big deal. But there was a time, man, where I was just like, I cannot imagine life without M&Ms, without this, without that. Peanut M&Ms too, that was my thing. And yeah. But life is so much better without it. So much better. Kim says, I definitely have an addictive personality. I quit alcohol cold turkey in 2017, and sugar and carbs is now the next addiction that I'm trying to kick. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if any of you, did you ever watch that show Nurse Jackie with, I can't remember the name of the actress, but she was in another show. She played the wife of Tony Soprano. I cannot remember her name. But anyway, she starred in this show called Nurse Jackie. And essentially the character was like, I guess she did heroin. Well, she did a lot of prescription drugs because she worked in a hospital. But I guess it was like heroin, essentially, or opioids. And there was one episode where she couldn't get the drugs, and so she was on her shift, you know, working as a nurse, and basically, you know, detoxing now from opioids because she didn't have the drug. And so she just ate a lot of candy. And I just thought it was so interesting that sugar was, you know, it's not powerful enough to get high like you might on opioids, but it was powerful enough to take the edge off of the withdrawals so that she could actually work and function, you know, without the drug. And to me, that was like, I mean, that was a pretty powerful message. It was like, wow, sugar is not nothing. It is actually a pretty big deal if it can, you know, if it can really help and, you know, sort of step in with, you know, coming off of opioids. So that's a big deal. Let's see. Kimberly Wright says, as a kid, I was always told by my mom to eat your veggies before you can even touch your meat. I think in my heart, I was born carnivore. I was taught it is naughty to eat meat first and leave your veg. Yeah. I definitely was born carnivore. I don't know if I was told to eat my vegetables first, but I definitely had to eat my vegetables. But I am certain I ate my meat first, always. Anna says Leonard made the comment about kids generally hating veg and how they've been right all along. I am telling everyone this fact. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm always surprised when I meet people who did, you know, say they liked vegetables as a kid. Yeah, because I didn't know any of them. But nowadays, you know, so many kids, you know, eat so much junk food that, like, you know, and I'm just surprised at how many, you know, parents allow that and think that's okay. Like, you know, as a kid, like, you know, even ketchup was like considered a treat in the house. That was not considered like food. So I don't know. Heather, yes, thank you. Edie Falco, of course. Oh, I don't know why I couldn't remember her name. Yeah, that was a great show though. So Mommy Does Keto says it's so true. Kids will go for the meat first. Yeah. Okay, so I think I have another thing from him. Oh, I love this
once
one.
you get 35 and 40, people start saying those are just getting old problems. I feel like I found the fountain of youth.
That Those are just getting old problems. Exactly. That is not true. And when I first went keto, when I first started, I was in so much pain. I used to feel just, I had, plantar fasciitis. My knees were killing me. I was constantly exhausted. It was all I could do to get through the day. Forget about like going out, going places, hanging out, like experiencing life in New York and doing things. And I just could not get it together. But I was 44, and I was kind of led to believe by people that this is just this is middle age. This is what it's like. And for me, it was just like I made the decision. Well, I'm going into middle age, so I guess this is how it is, but if I'm going to be over the hill, I just want to start higher on the hill. So I made this commitment to get as healthy as I could. And I was stunned to, when I started on keto, how quickly I felt so much better. And, it really didn't have to do with how much weight I lost. Because, in the beginning I had lost maybe, 10 pounds. But 10 pounds didn't seem to account for how much better I felt. And that's what I think he is talking about, and so many others of us are talking about. When we talk about this fountain of youth, it's not about how much weight you've lost. Something else is going on, because the weight that you've lost doesn't account for, and doesn't explain how great you feel. So, so I'd love to hear from you guys if you felt that way as well. Have you felt like you've tapped into the fountain of youth? Okay, so Kimberly Wright says, when I'm not fasting, I have milk and meat, and I have 3 ounces of milk or 5 or 6 nuts with a teaspoon of raw organic honey. That's my treat. Yeah, that is milk and honey, the land of milk and honey. That's a treat. Heather says, my knees were always killing me. I don't think it's arthritis at all. Yeah. Do you think you have oxalates going on? Maybe it could be that. And Chris says, I want to maintain my youth as long as possible. Everyone else can get old. I am so with you. I do not want to feel bad. Of course I would like to look as good as possible for as long as possible, but I'm really, more concerned about how I feel and being able to keep up with, with the activities that I want to engage in. And, that's the hard part, really. Sonia says, Leonard said what I've been feeling for years about carb addiction. I fall off the carnivore wagon every other day. I fall asleep listening to Black Carnivore, Dr. Barry, Nisha loves it, the diet doctor. Yeah, Sonia, you've got to, I totally get what you're saying. And you just got to string together a couple of days. Because I think, one of the things that is really powerful about getting in ketosis is having those ketones. Those ketones really help give you energy. They take away hunger, and they kind of calm the brain and help you get through those carb withdrawals. So you really do kind of have to hang in there. Just hang in there and, go forward. So you should definitely join my challenge. That will help a lot, I think. And, and just try to get to get as far as you can, and also be easy on yourself. Some people dive into carnivore and they're just like, okay, I'm going to do 1 meal a day, and I'm going to do, only beef, and it's going to be, low fat and this and that. Don't do that. Just eat all of your favorite fattiest cuts of meat, and eat as often as you need to. And, and like build up from there. So, don't make it hard on yourself, for sure. Let's see. Flora and Fauna says, I'm a few days in and I'm struggling with keto flu, but I'm going to keep going. Yeah, if you're struggling with keto flu, you got to increase the electrolytes. Keto flu, is typically defined as, not having enough electrolytes. And that is something that is pretty simple to fix. So, please don't struggle with that. Just, eat more salt, buy some electrolytes so you can get one of those pre-mixed mixes. I use fasting salts. I, order it on Amazon. But I think Rob Wolf also has created a electrolyte mix. There's one that is unsweetened and unflavored, which that's the one I prefer. Other people get them sweetened or flavored. So don't delay on that. Just get it. There's no need to go through, through that. If it's, carb withdrawals, there is that. I think that I had systemic yeast, and so it was like a battle to the death in my microbiome as the sugar-loving bacteria were, just refusing to die. So that was definitely a challenge for me, but making sure that I kept those ketones high and, whatever I could to do that, that was super important. So you can do it. You can do it, definitely. Anna says, I used to get dressed sitting on the edge of my bed. Now I love balancing on one leg as I pull my pants up or putting on shoes without sitting down to do it. Sitting on the floor and getting up easily. Oh my God. Those are just like the little things of life that you kind of forget about, or you just don't realize, it's a slow and steady decline into, poor health. So there are these little things that you aren't able to do, and you kind of forget that you should be able to do them. So then you turn around and you feel great, and now you're like, yeah, I want to balance on one leg and see how that goes. I want to try to put my clothes on, with no hands or whatever it is, you find like you're on the bus and you're like, I want to get off a stop or two early and walk and just get some sunshine. That is the beauty of carnivore, or, just even a ketogenic lifestyle, is that you suddenly have all of this energy and desire for movement. And that's where, the exercise comes in. You don't want to beat yourself into it. Just, you're going to get to a point where you want to do it. And so that's really awesome. Kim says, that is exactly why I started Carnivore. I want to have the energy to do all the things I want in life. Exactly. So let's see. Molly Does Keto says, I used to not be able to tie my shoes and breathe at the same time. I had to hold my breath. Feeling good is worth everything. Oh my God, I so understand what you're talking about, Mommy Does Keto. And unfortunately, I've had far too many experiences with foundation garments that I tried to use to hold myself in and slim myself out. Oh my God. And I totally understand how in the Victorian era, women were just fainting because we couldn't breathe, literally could not breathe. So that sucks. Yeah. So DJ Steady says, when does my next challenge begin? So next November 1st, that's when I'm going to do it. So everybody get ready for that. Just keep checking my Instagram and, YouTube. I will definitely post it everywhere. And, and you'll be able to see how to join. And Kim says, I also just started and in week 3 and I keep hanging in there and sticking with it because I want those benefits everyone is raving about. They're coming. They're definitely coming. There were a lot of changes for me in the beginning, but my benefits and healing continued for, I would say, 2 years. I didn't peak until I hit 2 years in. So there's a lot of change to come. Kimberly says, keto made me feel better with my stiffness, but I had so much pain I could not stand straight. Then I started going to what Dr. Berry calls Carnivore. I inched my way week by week into eating carnivore by a 5-day challenge. Okay, that's awesome. That's great. And Mommy Does Keto says, I just discovered Limit electrolytes. Wow, expensive but worth it. 1,000 milligrams of sodium per packet. Yeah, so those, those things are super. They're definitely pricey. I think if you're having trouble getting your electrolytes together, it's definitely worth getting those. And I also think they're helpful for when you're on the go. If you're a person who's out and about a lot, and you have struggled to keep your electrolytes balanced, it is worth having something like that in your pocket. So definitely consider it. Okay, Kimberly says, once I tried the 5-day carnivore challenge, I thought, let me try one more week, and then was becoming free of pain and more rapidly. I thought that I could not reverse the pain. Yeah, so once you get started, that's exactly it. You get started and you continue on and you continue on. So before you start thinking about, going the rest of your life never eating sweets or whatever again, yeah, that's impossible. But, just start feeling amazing and your mind will change. So, just kind of back into it, I think. DJ Steady says, I just subscribed and yes, I am male. Thank you, DJ. I appreciate that. I'm not. There are definitely a lot. There's a good number of men here, and I really appreciate all of you. And I do try to make sure that I'm creating content that is of interest to both men and women. I think a carnivore diet is great for everyone, all humans. But there are different health challenges that women face versus men, and so I know sometimes I focus more on the women things because I'm a woman, I'm more familiar with those things, but I think that there's great information here that is helpful for everybody. So thank you, DJ, good to see you, and thank you for subscribing. And says, I think the most important part of carnivore is learning to eat and eat well. Absolutely. And Kimberly says, but I feel too good to stop. I do fast every day. Yeah. So it, once you start feeling good with carnivore, you're just not going to want to stop. So that is awesome. And usually in the beginning, the body has a great need for nutrients and we are deficient. I think that's absolutely true. And so the way you eat carnivore in your first 2 years is going to be different from thereafter. And, you're not going to be as nutrient deficient as before. Okay, so I had a great time. Thanks everybody for being here. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to continuing the conversation. So next week I have I've had a couple more interviews with really interesting people, so I'm looking forward to sharing it. Oh yes, Glenda, her story is up next. And, Glenda's been a part of the Black Carnivore community from the beginning, and she is really awesome. And she has had spectacular, life-altering, life-changing success with the carnivore diet. So you do not want to miss her story. And she has a neurodegenerative disease that makes it difficult for her to speak. And so, the interview was like a combo of her sister talking, her talking, and me reading some of her testimony, answering, my questions about her experience. So it'll be a combination of all of that. I think it's actually really interesting, and you're going to really love it. So make sure that you are there on Tuesday, and yeah, there we go. So everyone have a great night, and I will see you soon. All right. Bye.